I wrote a book called The 6 New Rules of Business, Creating Real Value in a Changing World. And this book really comes out of my experience of working at the Aspen Institute for the last 20 plus years and before that. And it's designed to reach business executives to kind of acknowledge that while I've kind of used the conceit of calling them rules, there are some real fundamental shifts. They haven't all been defined as rules, but they are definitely in motion and there's no turning back. And so I write about 6 pieces of this puzzle that I think are very germane if you're managing a business, but also if you're trying to influence business. They're kind of like foundational questions about corporate purpose, about things like the fact that when I went to business school eons ago, it was a tangible world. Well, the real value of business today is no longer tangible, it's intangible. It is about reputation. It is about license to operate and the ability to attract and retain talent. And so that means managing in a very fundamentally different way than kind of, putting the assets on the balance sheet and discounting back future values and coming up with something that's meaningful. So I also write about some big changes afoot. NGOs play a phenomenal job today. They're perfectly willing to harness your brand and take it to a place you don't necessarily want to go to make a bigger point. And we've seen them convert from just being, challenges to actually working with businesses in a structured way to make sure that you tap the large brand, the one with the most convening power, to amass an entire, ecosystem of producers and suppliers to make a change in a system like a fisheries or like McDonald's is tackling with the beef industry to make it sustainable. These are massive undertakings, and behind them lie very complex partnerships. I guess the last thing I'd say about the book is I write about the fact that, I grew up in a world in which business was just about competition, and today it's not. It's really about co-creation as well. And the best businesses understand that, and we're seeing more and more of that language emerge because you don't solve the kinds of problems we're trying to talk about one company at a time. It requires a much more complex and long-term view and many players at the table.